They thought they had found an easy target. A lonely cargo ship drifting through the Gulf of Aden with no lights, no flag, and no escorts. Two pirate skiffs raced toward it across the dark water, engines screaming as they closed the gap. From their point of view, it looked like the perfect payday, a massive silhouette moving slowly and quietly. What they didn't know was that the cargo ship they were chasing wasn't carrying containers. It was carrying fighter jets, missiles, and nearly 5,000 sailors. They weren't hunting a freighter. They were charging straight at a nuclear-powered U.S. aircraft carrier. Inside the Combat Information Center of the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, the threat was spotted long before the pirates even knew they were detected. Two fast-moving radar contacts appeared with no identification signals. The watch team didn't need a debate. They knew exactly what that meant in these waters. The order went out instantly to alert the bridge and launch a Seahawk. Above deck, the ship was already alive. This wasn't a convoy. This was a strike group on patrol, and everything moved with the speed and precision of a city built for war. Within moments, an MH-60R Seahawk lifted off the flight deck. Its rotors chopped through the night as it angled toward the incoming skiffs, sensors scanning, and the door gunner locked on to the craft below. Down on the Eisenhower, flight deck crews kept working like nothing unusual was happening. Planes were still being positioned, weapons were still being checked, and operations continued without a single pause. Then the situation changed again. One pirate skiff split off, while the other charged forward even faster. Classic distraction tactic, but the carrier wasn't buying it. The captain stayed calm and kept the ship on course. "Let them show what they plan to do," he ordered. The Seahawk soon had visual contact. The pilot reported armed men aboard the approaching skiff. That was all the Navy needed for confirmation. A second Seahawk launched immediately, and on the nearby destroyer USS Gravely, VBSS boarding teams, fully armed and armored, started gearing up. These were not negotiators. These were rapid response teams trained to hit fast and finish faster. Meanwhile, the carrier's own defensive systems quietly tracked the threat. If the pirates escalated, the ship could respond with overwhelming firepower. But in a strike group, the carrier rarely needs to fire a shot, because it has an entire war machine protecting it. As the first skiff pushed even closer, the Seahawk dropped lower, its gunner pointing an M240 straight at the boat, a clear warning. The pirates didn't slow down. One man even stood up holding an RPG launcher. That instantly changed the encounter from suspicious to hostile. The helicopter radioed the update, and the destroyer reacted. Two RHIBs launched at high speed, each carrying a heavily armed VBSS team. They tore across the water, slamming through the waves toward the skiff. Above them, the Seahawk lined up for a non-lethal warning burst, firing a spray of machine gun rounds across the water directly in front of the pirates. That finally got a reaction, but it was too late. The RHIBs reached the skiff within seconds and boxed it in from two angles, leaving the pirates nowhere to run. Through loudspeakers, the commands were immediate and forceful. "Drop your weapons. Hands up." Panic broke out on the skiff. One pirate threw his gun overboard, another froze. Those who hesitated were handled quickly and decisively. In less than half a minute, the entire skiff was secured. The pirates were zip-tied, disarmed, and lying face down on the RHIB. And the Eisenhower? It never slowed, never stopped, and never broke formation. The carrier simply continued its mission like nothing had happened. But the Navy wasn't finished. Neutralizing the threat was just the beginning. A second Seahawk circled overhead, scanning for hidden equipment, heat signatures, or signs that the skiff was part of something bigger. Back aboard the Eisenhower, intelligence teams immediately began examining every detail collected. Radio chatter, fuel samples, hull markings, even residue from their weapons. And they found something unusual: a radio frequency tied to earlier activity from an illegal arms network operating out of Eritrea. This wasn't a random pirate attack, it was part of a much larger pattern. Meanwhile, the skiff that had broken away earlier didn't escape either. A drone spotted it several miles out, lingering near a suspiciously clean fishing boat. Minutes later, an RHIB team from the USS Mason intercepted it. The results were nearly identical: more suspects detained, more weapons confiscated, and a laptop full of data collected for analysis. What began as a simple pirate intercept had suddenly opened the door to a regional intelligence operation. By now, the captured pirates were realizing just how badly they'd misjudged the situation. They genuinely believed they were chasing an unprotected cargo ship, right up until a Marine informed them they had tried to board an aircraft carrier. The reaction was quiet, stunned disbelief. Their mistake wasn't just bad, it was monumental.
To understand how badly they miscalculated, consider this: a U.S. aircraft carrier is never alone. It travels with destroyers, cruisers, submarines, supply ships, helicopters, drones, and dozens of jets overhead. The Eisenhower alone can launch fully armed fighters every few dozen seconds. It has multiple decks packed with weapon systems, radar rooms, intelligence centers, and an internal security force larger than some national armies. You cannot sneak up on a carrier. You cannot intimidate a carrier. You get detected, tracked, and targeted long before you even know it's watching. And the wildest part? The Navy didn't even use a fraction of its available power. They could have scrambled jets, fired flares, launched drones, or authorized lethal force. But they didn't need to. The pirates were so outmatched that it was almost unfair. Almost. By sunrise, the ocean looked calm again. The Eisenhower resumed its routine, jets taking off, flight ops back on schedule, sailors grabbing breakfast. But in the background, something significant had shifted. The data gathered from the pirates triggered a chain reaction across the region. Satellites adjusted their focus, intelligence centers flagged new signals, coalition ships tightened their patrols. The message was clear, and it wasn't just for the pirates. It was for anyone watching. The U.S. Navy saw the threat, stopped the threat, learned from the threat, and ensured that the next one wouldn't even get close. For a few days, radio chatter among smugglers and pirate networks went silent. Suspicious vessels changed course, and across the Gulf of Aden, the sea grew noticeably quieter. Because when a carrier strike group responds, it doesn't issue warnings, it makes examples.